Hello, guys. Welcome to the show this morning. Really glad to have you here. You know what? There's a whole camp of them out there right now, and it's a growing size camp. They see the price of cryptocurrency falling. They see Bitcoin falling day after day after day, in price. And they're starting to think in their heads that Bitcoin is going to go to zero, nothing, and be free. Dream on, guys, dream on. But, we're going to take a look at one of these articles of one of these groups. Anyway, let's start the charts right here. It says, good news. Good news. Bitcoin is becoming worthless. Well, I like the news, too, that Bitcoin is dropping in price. It means more for me, And this price that I'm eyeing right now, $3,329, which is what it is right now at this second, and everything, I'm thinking to myself, this market's a little bit oversold, and I think that these people here, this is just nutty. There are articles here about becoming worthless. It's just nutty talk, and I've been through that before, and they actually had that talk before, when Bitcoin was much less priced than it is now. Bitcoin was only like about, I think it was like $400. And they were saying, okay, it's going to drop down to zero. It's going to be worthless. And I kind of bought in a little bit. I didn't think it was going to drop to zero, but I thought it was going to drop to like 20 or 30 bucks. Seriously, I thought it was going to drop to like 20 or 30 bucks. And I said to myself, right now, I can get like $300-400 or whatever for a coin, and it's going to drop down to 20 bucks. And I better get out. I was thinking, I better get out of this right now and take what I can get. And that's what I did. I got out of it and took what I can get. But I didn't cash out. I exchanged, I traded it. I traded my Bitcoins for something of equal value, another commodity of equal value. So anyway, so I got out. And was I ever sorry later? I think this is going to be a same sort of a scenario. And I don't know why they keep thinking, they thought this is about, every time Bitcoin drops in price, they always start thinking this. They're going to get it for free. Maybe these are the kind of people that go around, and they go into a restaurant or whatever, and they order a bowl of hot water, and the waitress brings it to them, and they reach over and grab the ketchup, put the ketchup into the hot water and stir it, and then they order some soup crackers, and they have a free meal. I don't know. Maybe this is this kind of people. They're just hoping it's going to become worthless. So they can have some of this, what used to be worth $20,000 a piece. It says, how the supposedly mighty have fallen. A couple years ago, it looked like Bitcoin could become a major new global currency. But it says, but finance experts, who are these experts anyway? Are now saying Bitcoin's end is right around the corner. And what they're talking about here is they're talking about mining. Well, I'm going to tell you, they're saying that Bitcoin is going to drop down to nothing because they say that the miners is going to go into a death spiral where they cannot make a Bitcoin. It costs $6,000 to make a Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops down to $5,000 or whatever, and the Bitcoin miners just can't do it. See, they're saying, I argue once that Bitcoin's price falls below its cost of mining, the incentive to mine will deteriorate, thrusting Bitcoin into a death spiral, it says. It says, without the mining activities to support the ledger that maintains the records of who owns that, Bitcoin is, after all, set of encrypted numbers, and so on. It says that this will go into this death spiral. Well, I'm going to tell you what. That can't happen, because Bitcoin's got a tremendous amount of miners that are still in there. It's almost as high as it ever was. But let's just talk about that death spiral for a minute. Let's just say it actually starts to happen, where the miners start to unplug left and right. Well, not all of them are going to unplug. There's always going to be some guys that are still going to continue to mine, even if it's unprofitable. They're going to leave their miners turned on. You don't have to have very many miners turned on, not near what you got now. 1/1000th of the miners you have right now would secure the network. Even if there's one computer turned on, that's a full node that'll still keep the network going. You know? And you don't need to have 1 billion miners mining the way it is right now to have the network for Bitcoin running. All computers, when they're turned on, they get their wallet open, you know, are capable of mining Bitcoin. All computers are capable. You can mine Bitcoin just with a CPU. And, of course, yes, it would slow down transactions if all you got is one guy out in Nebraska with an old Pentium computer running a mining operation that normally he'd make like 1 Satoshi a day, you know. All of a sudden, he's going to be making 50 Bitcoins a day if all the other miners drop off the network, because what would happen is the mining difficulty would drop down if everybody else unplugged all at once, and some old guy in Nebraska was still mining with his old Pentium computer with his CPU. He could carry the network of Bitcoin all by himself. You know, but he'd be making all the Bitcoin. He'd be making $100,000 a day in Bitcoin. You know, that's the sort of deal we got. It's almost impossible to kill Bitcoin. So this death spiral, I mean, is just ridiculous. That they think it's going to die. But the thing about it is the final solution to all of this, she sums it up. She says, Bitcoin is a colossal waste of energy, and it will soon be no more. Good riddance. She's expressing what her belief system is about Bitcoin, and she says it'll soon be no more. Good riddance. You know, I get a kick out of articles like this, but there was a whole bunch of articles like this last time Bitcoin went up and then went down. When it was going down, there was a whole bunch of articles like this. I kind of bought in a little bit. I got rid of my Bitcoin. I'm very sorry I did. Now I'm trying to build back. I know my mistake I made, and I'm not going to make it again. I'm going to HODL them suckers. Now, the mining difficulty just could drop off significantly. And I might go back into mining them. I'm watching very carefully. I'm watching that mining. Let's take a look at it right now. Let's go into mining right here and Bitcoin difficulty right here. Okay, so you see, it is right. It is dropping rather significantly. And it's scheduled to drop 9.64% in the next 7.8 days. So we're going to lose 10% of the mining difficulty in the next 7.8 days. So what they're talking about, it does actually happen. Mining does drop off. People unplug their miners because they're losing profitability. But that doesn't mean the network's going to stop just because a few miners pull the plug. Because there's other guys, as soon as the price of Bitcoin starts to go back up again, they're going to plug new miners back in. In fact, what it's going to do is kind of flush the mining industry. They've got a lot of old mining machines in the mining industry. And what happens is when we get something like this, the unprofitability thing, they unplug their old mining equipment, right? And oftentimes when the price goes back up, they'll reinvest in newer mining equipment. And what this does is it kind of flushes the mining. It actually makes Bitcoin more efficient energy-wise because they flush a lot of the older mining equipment out that are basically energy hogs, you know, and they sell them. And for whatever they can get. You're going to find a lot of cheap mining equipment out there right now, right? And we're going to get a sudden rise in the price of Bitcoin. Mining is going to become profitable again. And those cheap machines, it might be a good idea for a guy, you know, right now it's winter time. Might be a good idea to take a look and see how cheap you can get a few old ant miners and have a new hobby for yourself, you know? Make up a small mining farm for yourself. Like you can do it awful cheap right now because these miners are being unplugged. So you see them being unplugged right in this chart right here. And they can heat your house or help to heat your house. Just throw a couple mining machines down in the basement, 2 or 3 of these ant miners, and they take about 1,000 watts apiece. So it's about 3,000 watts. So you say you had 3 or 4 of them. Maybe you're burning a couple thousand watts running them, which is costly, a couple thousand watts continuous all month long. At the end of the month, it's going to raise your bill. Your electric bill might double, you know, but then they're going to, if you do the math on them, you're going to find that they just about break even. So they'll get you just about that amount of money a Bitcoin that they cost for electricity. So it just about breaks even. But then the heat that comes off of them is free. And all of a sudden you notice your house is a lot warmer in the wintertime. It's an idea, guys. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.